Greetings, everyone. It is Being Brown at Work Live. And I have to say, I have missed you because I've been on vacation the past two Tuesdays and I wasn't live. So hopefully you've missed me. And I am so excited to get right back in with another phenomenal woman that agreed to be a guest. So, we've been doing those throwbacks the past couple of Tuesdays. So now we're going to get right back into some live, extremely valuable content tonight. So let's jump right in. Vani Rao is a director leading the Office of the Chief Information Officer of an industry leading privately held financial group. She is a business focused leader known for developing high performing teams. With over 25 years of experience, Vani is a versatile collaborator who possesses strategic and tactical acumen, business and technical savvy to partner with key business and information technology leaders to enable businesses to achieve their strategic goals. Vani is passionate about mentoring and feels that mentoring as her way of giving back to the community. She primarily focuses on minority and immigrant women and men, and particularly who are the first in their families to go to college. Vani holds a BA in mathematics and information systems from Hood College and an MA in computer science from Wayne State University. Welcome, Vani, to Being Brown at Work Live.
Thank you very much, Linda. Good evening to those of you who are watching, have joined, but I am honored and glad to be part of this.
Oh,
So
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Vani and I go back a few years, met at the previous company that she was at, and have stayed connected and graced me with the willingness to be a guest on this show. And as you guys have already seen, the title is The Value of Mentorship, something that's so extremely critical to people's careers. And Vani, I think, a lot of times they don't understand the value of it, especially throughout a career. A lot of people think of mentorship in the early parts of the career, right? But not sustaining it throughout. You're passionate about mentorship. Tell us why. Why is that a passion of yours?
I have to go back several decades. When I started out in my career, couple of decades ago, fresh college grad, an immigrant to boot. I had no connections in the workplace or
Mm,
outside. I didn't know anything about mentors, coaches, or even sponsors. There were no women resource groups, no
wow.
mentoring circles at my workplace. So it took me years to learn about mentors and the benefits that they bring in, right? So
Hmm.
I came to understand the value of mentors, I want to say several years into my career. And I said, you know, I realized how important that is. And that's when I started, when I attained a certain position, I said, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to be part of mentoring circles or individual mentoring
Hmm.
as a way of giving back
Giving
to
back.
them.
Yeah. So, Vani, let's talk a little bit about your experience coming in when we didn't have, like you said, women resource groups, and it wasn't the thing, years ago. Or if it was, it may have been because you weren't exposed to it, right? Having access to
Yeah.
that information and that knowledge, being an immigrant woman, a woman of color. So, throughout your career or early on, did you get a mentor? Were you how did that happen for you early on in your career?
So eventually, I would reach out to people
Ah,
and have
okay.
conversations. I would look for, people who share the same values as me,
Okay.
honest, can be trusted,
Yeah.
willing to embark on a relationship, it's a long-term relationship. So I reached out to people
Ah,
and people who have made it, achieved some personal and career goals in their lives,
okay.
and ask them whether they'll be willing to talk to me. I would may not necessarily say be my mentor, but
Right.
are you willing to speak with me? But the relationship
Ah,
is indeed mentorship, right?
sure.
And
Yes.
I just didn't focus on just female mentors. Male
Oh,
mentors as well. And some of the male mentors turned out to be um, my strongest sponsors at some
oh,
point. So,
wow.
I
Okay.
attribute some of my promotions to them. So yeah, so that's how it is. Like reached out, had conversations, initially informal, but one on one. But nevertheless, right? And
Yeah.
more than one
I was
mentor.
going to ask you, yeah, I was going to ask you, how many have you had or do you have today?
Um, I want to say it. I have about five today over a
Wow.
period of
Okay.
time for various
Okay.
things, right? For various
Yes.
things, I gain something from everyone because
Mm,
of their specialty. I have a friend and mentor um, who is in HR. She has wide and deep experience. She brings to bear a lot of lessons learned throughout her career
mm,
that she shares with me. Right, answers questions, advises, and so on. Um, People who have been in different industries, not
hmm.
necessarily IT. So
Right.
I get a wide variety of mentors, and I leverage each of their skill sets and expertise.
Wow, I think that's extremely important for the ladies that are watching us live now. Hi, join Kiana. I noticed she just joined and said hello. I think that's some valuable nugget right there is to not be tunnel visioned when you're looking for that relationship connection that can grow into mentorship, right? You spread yourself out. Like you're in IT, but yet you have a mentor that's in HR, and I'm sure you probably have a mentor that might be in finance or, to your point, a totally different industry that you're in. Such value from getting a broad perspective, right? Would you not say? And experiences.
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, yes. And so, Vani, as you've been thinking about the fact that you wanted mentorship to be your way of giving back. Uh, why don't talk a little bit about the mentee mentor relationship? So, what responsibilities do you hold as a mentor, and what responsibilities does the mentee hold?
First of all, I mean, so we probably need to talk about what mentorship is not, right? To arrive at that.
Ah, oh, I love it. Okay, yes.
So mentorship is not a therapy session, right?
Mm,
Mentorship um, is not where you get prescriptive uh, responses or direction to your challenges. Uh, it's not something that you take lightly. It's a two-way street.
yes.
So those are the important things that mentors and mentees need to keep in mind, right?
I
There's
love it. Yeah, Bonnie, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to repeat that again because I think that was so beautiful. And Bridget just joined us. I think you know who Bridget is.
yes,
Yes, she just says hello. I think that those are some valuable nuggets. Mentorship is not a therapy session. Mentorship is not where you get prescriptive solutions to your problems. And mentorship is a two-way street. It's not just one. That was worth repeating. That was great, Vonnie. Go ahead. You were going to offer some more.
so going back to that, so what should we look at? It's a long-term commitment. um, it's accessibility of the mentor, right?
Mm,
Being available,
hmm.
that is critically important. um, it's it's also it behooves for the mentor to sort of set certain guidelines, what's expected of the mentee, and the mentee to come prepared with what the goals are.
Oh, yes. Yes. I don't
Yes.
think people often think about a mentorship relationship requiring goals. I love that. I just entered into one, and we talked about that our first session. What are your expectation? What are the goals? So I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and so it's setting up some goals, some guardrails,
Mm-hmm.
cadence in meeting,
Mm-hmm.
uh, touching base regularly. Um, well, a mentor sometimes can help see through some personal challenges, but mostly it's business, right? So a dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
it's honest and frank dialogue, and feedback from the mentee, sort of a checkpoint to say, am I, as a mentor, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing to help you move
Yes.
forward? So those
Yes.
things are critically important as well.
Yeah, and Vani, let's talk a little bit about, I mean, you just mentioned, possibly some personal things, but it's mostly business. But we do know that, that there's a soft side to business, right? The interpersonal skills piece. And a lot of times that can be, uncomfortable to get the feedback on or uncomfortable to share. So how critical is it? I mean, you just mentioned honesty and openness. How critical is it in your mind? Well, let me just ask you this. Define to me what you see the good qualities of a mentor are. I think that's where we'll go. What
Good
are the good?
qualities:
Yes. What are the qualities? What are excuse me, qualities of a good mentor? Let's do it that way.
good listener,
Aha.
empathetic, non-judgmental,
Oh. Oh. Yes.
and realize that you are there to provide some kind of support to your mentee, but not, again, set their direction, not prescriptive.
Aha. Aha. That's where that I think those two go together, being non-judgmental and not
Prescriptive.
prescriptive, right? I mean, we could believe or think that somebody should do something in a prescribed way because we have done that as a mentor, but it worked for us because of who we are. It didn't may not necessarily work for them. So I love that piece of not being prescriptive. I think that's
Absolutely.
extremely important.
See, you can share your experiences. So that's one benefit, right, that you bring as a mentor. You can share your experiences so people don't, or lessons learned. As human beings, we make mistakes,
Mm,
right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
lessons learned, and share that with your mentor. But that, the way you approached certain things may not be the right approach for that mentee,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Perhaps changes may have to be made, but nevertheless, it's sharing of knowledge, lessons learned from
yes,
your experiences,
yes,
and bring.
absolutely. So, Vani, I want to dig into a piece that I know around this subject that I know exists and is more prevalent for women and more prevalent for women of color as a whole. So, our audience is women, and our audience is consists of women of color, and that's accessibility, right? I mean, how were you successful? And maybe you can give, maybe some of your experiences, because especially because you, like I, are focused in on minorities and immigrants that may not have that accessibility to a person that has made it or achieved a certain role, and they want to establish a relationship with them that could lead to mentorship. One, they could be fearful, imposter syndrome, oh, that person won't talk to me. Or frankly, there just could be that roadblock. How you have yourself overcome that accessibility challenge?
You're talking about accessibility as in being available?
No,
No.
access to the individual,
Oh,
having accessibility to individuals, like some of the gentlemen that were your mentors that ended up opening doors for you for promotions. Sometimes women and women of color in particular don't have that access to certain individuals who would be great mentors. How did you overcome that?
it is, so we are a fear of rejection, right? What
Mm,
if
yeah.
I reach out and that person says no? Well, it's also the aspect of getting out of your comfort zone. So, what if that person says no?
No.
At least you've tried. But what I have noticed is that most human beings are quite comfortable in responding positively and saying, yes, I do not mind talking to you. So it's just that getting over that initial fear of rejection or fear of someone saying, I don't want to deal with you. I have no time for that. If you can get past that, I think the rest is easy. You
Oh,
do it a couple of times,
yes.
it becomes quite easy.
Quite easy. Yes, Vani. And you touched on something that I often talk about, and that's is we can kind of get in our own way, right? We put those thoughts in our head that, oh, he wouldn't talk to me, or she's not going to have time, or yes, the fear of rejection, which some people do say no. And it could be because they don't have the time,
Yep.
or they know themselves that they're not mentor type material, may not have anything to do with you as an individual. So I'm so glad you shared your thoughts on that, because I find quite often, you're right. Most human beings, 9 times out of 10, one loves sharing things about themselves and want to help, want
Yep.
to extend that helping out. So this always happens as we're going into these conversations, and I want to make sure there's enough time for you to give, Vani, to our listeners, maybe 3 to 5 key either steps. Well, let's start with this. What are some real solid reasons that you think women should get out of their comfort zone and really reach out and establish these mentorship relationships? Be the first question. And then if you could then follow that up with maybe 3 to 5 steps that you suggest they take in building a relationship that leads to mentorship.
So the first part, right? Why should you reach out and establish mentor relationships, right? Um, Learn from others,
Mm,
right? People have been there, done that, and if they're willing to share those experiences, you don't have to make the same mistakes over again. Um, they say it's the chances of or likelihood of getting a promotion is higher, especially in a workplace.
mm,
Mentors sometimes become your champions or your
yes,
sponsors as well. So that
yes.
relationship changes. They also help you increase your confidence,
Mm,
right?
yes.
So one of the things I said right earlier on when we were chatting, I'm quite comfortable speaking in public, but social media is something that I'm not quite comfortable. And I said, I'm glad you did that because I consider you as one of my mentors, right? So, so, so I'm glad you reached out to me and you pulled me out of that discomfort to more of a comfort. So it's not bad at all.
Right.
I'm sure I'll do this again. So getting us out of those situations
Yes.
help us with leadership skills.
Mm,
That development is an ongoing journey. It's never a
absolutely.
destination, right? You're
Absolutely.
constantly learning. Help us with our enhancing our leadership skills. So those are some of the things that mentors bring, right?
Yes.
Um, and from a company or an organization perspective, right? Lots of studies have been done how it improves the culture. Uh, it creates a pipeline of talent,
Hmm.
especially female pipeline. If you are, is focused on that, and they say leadership, if you have women in leadership positions, it really impacts the bottom line
Yes.
positively, right?
Yes. Yes.
Employee retention. So many studies have been done on that. Um, these days, diversity and inclusion, right? It's
Hmm.
it's front and center, helps promote that. So those are some of the benefits of coaching
Yes.
individually and then in a corporate group setting.
Absolutely.
Um, so refresh my memory about the second question again,
Yeah, the
Linda.
second half of that, if there's 3 to 5 specific steps that you found valuable when you were creating your mentorship relationship that you'd like to share with our audience.
So I would list out sort of where I needed help,
Mm,
which areas I needed help, and list out people whom are probably in that, who can be in a position to help me out, sort of
Hmm.
navigate this. Again, they don't have to be formal relationships, informal relationships, right?
Right.
And then I would reach out to them. uh, Believe it or not, most people, we talked about this, right? The fear
Yeah.
of being rejected. Most people were more than willing to speak with me.
Sure.
So we have that initial conversation, and I'll say, I like what you've done with your career. I like your personal brand, how you deal with people. Is it okay if I periodically reach out to you and
Hmm.
have conversations? Because I think you can add um, value. You can help me navigate through the corporate life,
Yes.
and so on. So have that frank conversation, and it does wonders.
Yes.
So these are the steps.
Yes. And I think you started with a very critical one, and that's listing out the areas, your gaps, the
Yep,
areas you want to strengthen. And
yep,
so that you can make sure that there's some intentional, back to your earlier point of having goals for the relationship. So
yep.
I like that tremendously. And then making sure that you're not just talking to women and you're not just talking to people in your own field. There's value in total inclusivity across
Absolutely,
every area possible. Well,
absolutely.
Vani, this has been, like I told you, I knew it was going to be great. I thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone and joining me on social media. Those of you who joined us, I'd love in the comments, talk about your mentorship relationships. How successful have they been? Have you had some challenges around them? Share in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And Vani, definitely, we can give some more information from her perspective. I'll always chime in also. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Those of you who are catching this on the replay, want to hear your input as well. Vani, again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I'm so happy to have you as a guest on Being Brown at Work Live. Take
Thank you
care
very
now.
much, Linda. Thanks for having me. It has been
Absolutely.
wonderful. Thanks.
Wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. Take care now.
Thank you. You too.